our teams want to do our job in the best possible way. And I think learning from each other and doing things together, we've noticed that we can do our job better and also to develop our work.
Maybe as the basis for our cooperation, we have annual meetings between our teams. Well, we can say that we inherited this practice of annual team meetings from our predecessors.
I think our initial idea was to find the resources for the cooperation in the framework of the Baltic Sea strategy, as having our programs like South Baltic, Central Baltic, and also Baltic Sea region, but the Central Baltic and South Baltic was more devoted to regional partners, still trying to use EU funds for the projects which will fit to the EU strategy. This was one of the ideas, how to make it possible so the small partners can still cooperate across the Baltic, not only in the regional areas like South Baltic or Central Baltic, but cross-program, and how to make this cross-program cooperation possible.
I can just be honest, I think I didn't imagine anything 8 years ago. I think we just decided, let's do it and let's see how far we can get. We had an idea behind, but I don't think we had a strategic plan for the coming 8 years, what would be the end goal, because it was quite a new thing to establish this cooperation. I think it started with a very concrete occasion, which was the annual conference of the B7, the organization of the 7 biggest islands in the Baltic Sea region, which actually asked both South Baltic program and Central Baltic program to come to the event and give a presentation on funding opportunities. And if I remember correctly, it was that South Baltic was not able to go. So I went, and then we thought if I go, I could talk about both programs, and we developed a joint presentation, and actually then we presented both programs in one. I think that was kind of the practical first occasion of the cooperation, and then it developed further.
And I think then we decided to make this annual or regular. In that time it was, I think, not decided that it will be annual, but to find the possibilities, how we can find possibilities to kind of exchange how we are doing, how we are assessing or developing project within a single program, and how we can support exactly in that case these B7-like partners. Also to prepare our steering committees to make the decision in the light of the possible complementary project in another program.
I think that was when you came with your secretariat to Turku, and we had this training on communication it was. And I remember that we developed the idea of butterflies, where there is a project idea where the one wing would be the South Baltic wing and one wing would be the Central Baltic wing, and together we are like a butterfly on the same idea. And I think after this one kind of kick-off with Interact support, then we started to meet.
We learned to know each other through these annual meetings. It was let's say, a slightly formalized structure. Also, we met during Interact networking events or trainings or the Commission events, and we talked. And through those discussions, we got to know each other. We started talking about things we had in common. And I think now we really have a situation where if I have a worry or I have a question, then I know that I have a colleague who I can turn to. We exchange materials and documents and practices on how did you deal with state aid and how did you solve this question. So it's become this really day-to-day cooperation.
Yes. I think our programs are complementary in terms of geographies. Central Baltic, South Baltic. We share the maritime character, and we have also complementarities with regard to our thematic priorities. Support for SMEs, tourism, transport, just to name some few examples. And talking about the future development of our cooperation, I could well imagine that beyond those regular exchanges and ad hoc exchanges on management issues, we also cooperate more closely on thematic issues.
We have Baltic Sea as the common denominator, and then we can really look for a very practical cooperation also, not only between the programs but also between the projects. If there are projects dealing with a similar issue approved in let's say, a South Baltic program, project approved in a Central Baltic program, and we can see that there is a synergies. We can bring together both content people from the project, so JS recommending that South Baltic JS recommending to a South Baltic project, hey, there is a very interesting project developed in the Central Baltic program, and you should definitely get in touch with them to see maybe you can branch out and go even beyond our program's region.
So I think this real-to-life layer of learning or benefiting from each other's experiences related to really practical success stories or excellent project examples where in most efficient way potential project owners, project partners see what our program project partners are doing, and they may get inspired and try to do similar things in their own area.
If, let's say, there are harmonized implementation or assessment cycles in the programs, then you can already, in a way, bring projects together also in the development stage and the start of the implementation.
First of all, we need to compromise, to learn to compromise. Second of all, we need to trust each other with the counterparts from the other program. And third, last but not least, we need to reciprocate. What it means in practice is that, what the compromise means in practice is that we do not have to dominate when we create something together. It's not about the domination, it's not a competition. This is what we repeatedly tell our beneficiaries and potential applicants. If you have a common problem, you can tackle it with joint forces much more effectively. So in fact, we do not have to compete with each other in terms of our visual identities. What we do in practice is actually amalgamating them.
But maybe talking about concrete, tangible outputs, results of our work, I still would like to refer to our joint communication activities. In 2014, we decided to join forces for the annual conference of the Union of Baltic Cities to jointly promote Interreg and the results of Interreg at this meeting. And I would say, if we would not have joined forces, if we would not have organized this workshop together, not under the label Central Baltic or the label South Baltic, but the label Interreg, we would not have attracted all the policymakers from both program areas, Central and South Baltic areas. We got 5 high-level panelists, so mayors from Tallinn, from Rostock, from metropoles in the Baltic Sea region. And for sure, if we would have organized those events separately, we would not have reached this target group in the same way.
Is that a lot of programs have introduced, in terms of the management, they introduced the system where project officers are responsible for a certain priority, which sometimes were not the case in a 7 and 13, which means that you as a project officer, you need to build up or to have and build up capacity in the specific thematic field, let it be environment, transport, education. And what is one very practical outcome out of cooperation with the programs is that if in case of thematic exchanges, you also learn about the most pressing issues in the field. So in a way, you are also raising your capacity in the specific area which you are responsible for. So I would say this is a very practical benefit out of cooperating and exchanging on the thematic issues.
I got the impression that somewhere they are on the way there, because when we started it was more the procedure, a meeting of structures, talking about processes and so on. And what I understood that now the discussions are much more thematic. So maybe a little bit neglecting the program, but more talking about exchanging about a topic, a theme, project ideas. So I think it goes to this direction.
And I think what is good now, because then we were starting as a secretariat and we were not involving managing authority in that time, so it was more or less cooperation or exchange of information on the secretariat level. But I think what is good, it's good that also managing authority is involved, so then also the decision level could participate, and probably some good solution could be developed.
I think there is a possibility and need which is related to future. I mean, if we are going to be in a few years' time again in a process of preparing new Interreg cooperation programs, cross-border and transnational cooperation programs, we should be more prepared to think about the division of work and the complementarity of potential impacts of different programs. I think we can better coordinate what intervention areas, what thematic objectives and specific objectives different programs choose. And we are actually in a very good position because we have transnational strategy, European Union Baltic Sea region strategy, which is excellent umbrella actually for potential division of work between cross-border and transnational cooperation programs.